What you're looking at is the 2024 Lucid Air Grand Touring. And I've got a question. Why does this car even exist? No, really. A non-endemic car manufacturer with an electric sedan in 2024, not named Tesla. Huh? And I know this actually came out in 2022, but still, why?
So the easy answer is that obviously the electric car was one of the earliest forms of cars. Then we got a little bit distracted by the internal combustion engine. And then eventually a company by the name of Tesla came along and they made, in a modern day way, the electric car relevant. So who designed their first mass market sedan, the Model S? That was Peter Rawlinson, who happened to leave Tesla and go on to start Lucid. So in many respects, you might think, okay, the Lucid Air is a competitor to a Tesla. And that is, without a doubt, the case. But I think that's thinking too small.
Quickly, before we get into that, I wanted to tell you about a new video that I filmed and the real reason we had this car up at LimeRock. It's the craziest video I've ever come up with, and the premise is simple. There's a lot of people who watch us as race car drivers in NASCAR, F1, whatever, and think, how hard could that be? It's just driving a car. Well, I've decided to put my money on the line to find those of you who truly could be a race car driver. We call it Are You Faster Than Me? And here's a quick teaser. The video will be out soon. In a recent poll, 34% of Americans said they could do what I've done my entire life, and that is be a professional race car driver. So I thought, let's prove it. The premise, simple. Go faster than your competitors, win my money. Go faster than me, win double the money. I'm Parker Klugman, NASCAR driver, and these are my 4 competitors who think they can go faster than me. First off, looking at the specs, you could be mistaken for thinking you're looking at the spec sheet of any of these fast, high-powered electric cars. But when finding the difference between this and a Tesla, look no further than the driving. In an era when Tesla is hell-bent on removing the meat bag between the seat and steering wheel as a part of the equation, Lucid seems to think the opposite. At least for now, and from how this car feels, they genuinely want you to be there stabbing the pedals and moving the steering wheel.
And that's a good thing, because this car, the Grand Touring Edition, has a capability of 819 horsepower, 885 pound-feet of torque. It is an absolute monster that when you want to go, it will go. Let's just start with having an actual steering wheel. A steering wheel that wants your hands to be placed in the right position to go around corners. What a novel concept. We know that Tesla has tried the yoke steering wheel, which just makes no sense and doesn't really work that well, that sort of thing. They obviously have all the gizmos that try to make it full self-driving, or debatably if it is or not. Nonetheless, right away you feel like, okay, I'm supposed to be a part of the equation of driving in the Lucid Air. It becomes very apparent that this car is far more closely related to, say, an M5 than it is a Model S Tesla. I've driven all the Teslas, I've driven the Porsche Taycan and numerous other electric cars. This is far closer to the Porsche Taycan than the Tesla.
Yet the real party piece on this car is not the speed. You may have noticed the EPA rated range earlier. It's 512 miles. Which feels like you can drive to the moon and back without needing a charge. To put this in context, over the week I had this car, I drove it up to LimeRock, pounded around the racetrack, and throughout that time, we kept shaking our heads at how much battery was left. Then after filming, I had it for a couple days where I drove it around, ran errands, and eventually brought it back to its resting place in New Jersey. When I returned it without ever charging, it was just below 50%. They achieved this with being obsessed with efficiency and making it incredibly slippery through the air. Slippery through the air. So what do I mean by that? Essentially, that is drag. And drag is when a car is trying to push itself through the air and the air that actually runs over it, how much it's slowing it down. This car is the most aerodynamically efficient car in the world. It has the lowest drag coefficient, a 0.197. To put that in perspective, a normal family SUV is a little bit more than double that. An F1 car is more than 10 times that because they have those massive wings trying to create tons of downforce. That means they have a lot of drag. And a cow is 0.5. Nonetheless, it got me thinking.
In racing, we used to do this thing called a coast down test, where we test the drag of a car. We'd go to a long runway, we'd get up to about 180 miles an hour, knock it into neutral, and then see how fast the car slows down. I think we can test the coast down of this here at LimeRock on the front stretch, where I think it will run the whole front stretch just coasting all the way into the runoff. Let's find out.
All right, so we're at the downhill here at LimeRock. We're going to get up to about 40 miles an hour, maybe a little bit over because it takes a second to get neutral, and then let it coast. Obviously, we could start on the hill or we could go 100 miles an hour, and that wouldn't really prove anything, but around 40 works. Although downforce doesn't really happen until 60 miles per hour. Drag is always there. So let's get up to 40, into neutral, and we're coasting. Still at 40. 39. Still at 39. All right, 38. We're about to hit the start finish line. 37. Thankfully, there's runoff here. 35. We're losing about a mile per hour. Now we're at 34. We're gonna have to hit the brake here eventually. We are running all the way to the runoff. We're still at 33, and we've got a brake. It lost 8 mile an hour the entire straightaway. That is efficiency. How does it drive? And more specifically, how does it drive when going fast on a racetrack? To do that, we go to sprint mode over here. That unleashes all of the power. And immediately, you sense that power.
My girlfriend, on the other hand, has a problem with this.
Hey, you want to feel something?
No. No.
Really?
No.
Why?
No. No. Stop. 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 No car, no street car needs the sprint mode. Literally, no one on the road should ever be hitting that button, going from 0 to 60. No, stop. Oh my God. I honestly wish a cop was sitting there for you.
We didn't even speed. The thing I love about electric cars on a racetrack, and let's be honest, this one probably not built or intended to be chucked around a tight autocross track like this at the FCP Euro Proving Grounds in LimeRock. The thing about them is that they're so approachable compared to an internal combustion engine, of which you have to start to think about, okay, where's my RPM? Where does the car make power? Where does it start to get that power, and how does it deliver it? All those things, what gear am I in? All that goes away. It's just stomp the throttle and go. And in terms of handling, what's impressive is that approaching 5,000 or so pounds, all these electric automakers have worked so hard to mask and hide that weight, and they do a really good job of it. This one specifically really sticks out to me in a couple of respects. Compared to a Tesla, it's far more alive. It's not quite as agile as the Porsche Taycan, but that's understandable because that car is designed and built solely to be faster on a racetrack than the ethos of a Porsche. But what it does do that's interesting is in the higher speed corners, it actually gets a bit of oversteer, which I can only think is a bit of where they've placed the weight and sort of a pendulum effect that it gets. But in the lower speed corners, you get a bit of understeer. And that has to be because to offset that oversteer at the higher speed corners with the weight that you have and that pendulum effect, mechanically, this car is set up to understeer a little bit. But it's not a huge problem because electric cars, what is so fun about them when you drive around a track, is that you almost sort of forgo the center of the corner compared to an internal combustion engine car where you're really worried about your min speed and keeping that up through the center. And these, because when you apply that throttle, there is no lag. There is nothing between you and all the power. It is there immediately. So when you hit it, and there it goes, you explode off the corner. So back to our initial question. Why does this car exist? Well, we got to think who would be the buyer for a car like this. Obviously, you are someone who wants a luxury $100,000 sedan. You want it to be electric, maybe because you care about the environment or the ease of use of electricity or the less amount of moving parts, but you don't want a Tesla. And this person would have to be unique in that they want to be different. They want to stick out. Because let's be honest, if you buy a Tesla in this day and age, most people are going to look at that and think, oh, either an Uber driver or they work in tech or finance, and that's it. There's nothing else to it, and they're not really special anymore. Yes, maybe 5, 6, 10 years ago, it was unique to see a Tesla. Now they're everywhere. But when you drive this, you do stick out. Yes, it's not a crazy design in that sense, but you would be surprised in just a day of having this car, how many people would sort of turn their heads as I was driving around. People would see it and sort of be like, oh, what is that? What is that guy driving? What is that, a Tesla? No, is it a new type of Tesla? No, it's not. It says Lucid on the front. What is a Lucid? Now, they could be looking at the car or just be looking at my dashing good looks.
All right, maybe not. But I do think this car looks amazing. Somehow futuristic, yet of its time. It's Billie Eilish in car form. A voice with classic tones, yet a futuristic look and style that asks you to give it a look, but not the way that feels like it's begging. But on the inside, it's straight out of Restoration Hardware magazine, which is maybe where much of the cost comes from, considering that every couch is about $20,000 or more. In that case, for this audience, I think they've nailed it. Oh, and it also smells really good, but my girlfriend noticed the interior as well.
I don't like the sound of the car. Smells great. That's great. But can you see this? This cup holder sucks. It does not fit my Stanley. I would say that the leather and then the fabric and the wood and is this like velvet or what is this?
Alcantara.
What?
Alcantara.
That's a fabric?
Yeah.
Okay, well the Alcantara. Overall, I would say the aesthetic in here is way better than a Tesla. Tesla looks like it's made of plastic and looks really cheap to me, actually. I don't know if other people feel that way. I hate the dash. This is horrible. Absolutely horrible. That this is just like they just took like a 3 monitor screen and put it in here.
This car exists because of what I keep coming back to, and that is efficiency. In a time where energy has never been more at a premium, this car is proving how efficient the modern automobile can be. Is it possibly the best electric car there is? Yes. Is it possibly too expensive? Yes. Is it a bit too late? Most likely. But what they've achieved here from Lucid with the Lucid Air is proving that keeping the driver a part of the equation can still mean efficiency gains and stretching energy as far as we can. I've enjoyed it.